Good day, students. Today is September 3rd of the 2020 version, and we're only going to get one of these today, so we got to make the most of it. With that in mind, I want to relay a couple housekeeping tips. Aside from making sure that your name is your given name on there, I would remind you that we went over some expectations in the last classes and some sort of like rules. Number one, do your best to be on time. Number two, make sure your video and your audio are on mute. This way there's nothing distracting occurring. If you are asked to chat inside to give a response, please meet that request with something appropriate and be respectful at all times. And then also you need to go to your school's PLP page in order to go through the attendance, the homeroom tab. I want to relay something that was informed or made known to us as staff by the administrators. Our attendance is above 80%. So if you know of someone who hasn't checked in with that attendance, or you know how to do it now, make sure with your fellow classmates, if you talk to them on Snapchat or whatever you talk to them on, say, hey, did you go through your school's PLP homeroom page and fill out the attendance? That's very, very important to do. So I was delighted to know that we had above 80%. And I guess our next goal is above 90%. So that's cool. I like that. Along with that, I would ask, and I know Ms. Thompson and Ms. Patelis would appreciate, anytime you have a question, you are more than welcome to ask. There's no problem with that. The only point that it becomes a bit of a source of a contention is when we've given the information through the directions and you ask the questions that are actually provided in the directions. So if it says, as an example, if it says to give 6 words in a box, we need you to give 6 words in a box, and that's why we put in the directions to give 6 words. I only mention that because I had somewhere between 12 and 15 emails asking a question that had already been discussed either in the actual Zoom session or in the directions. The other 50 emails I received, I don't have a problem with because they were not covered directly, specifically, or given in the directions. So, or if there was a little bit of confusion based on what was given, you're more than welcome to ask me to clear up or ask Ms. Thompson to clear up that confusion. Not a problem. But asking questions like, do I put an adjective in this to describe me? Well, that's what the box says. So by not sending that email, you clean up our mental abilities, but you clean up our inbox, allowing us to answer questions that need a little more clarification. And if you think about it, I have 130 students, and if each email takes, again, 5 minutes to fill out, that's 650 minutes worth of emails. That's 10 hours of emails that I'm doing. So that's if each email takes 5 minutes. I mention all of that in order to bring us to today's activity. So you say, we're getting another activity? Yes, we are. Your autobiographical poem is due tonight at 11:59. Your autobiographical poem is due tonight. And one more time, this does clear up some confusion. Just type into the document that is provided in Google Classroom and hit turn in. It makes it so much easier on my end because then I can just go through and grade. Well, I can read them and then I can go through and grade them in a way that is saves time, which is beneficial. So that is due at 11:59 tonight. You're going to be introduced to something today that will not be due until Sunday night. Sunday night, 11:59 and 59 seconds. And today's activity sort of goes along with the goal of English language arts as a whole. There are 3 parts to English language arts. The idea of reading is definitely one of them. The idea of writing is also definitely one of them. And that's really what we're going to be doing today. But there's also a third sort of leg on this stool, which is speaking and listening, and we sort of combine those into one. So you're going to be listening today, and you're going to be writing. So not necessarily just answering questions, but also writing an extended response. And we're going to use this the answer that you give moving forward. We're also going to use the content that you're giving moving forward. So if you have opened, you have the Zoom session up, and if you've opened the Google Classroom, if you'd be so kind as to go into the files that are listed on the left side, which are entitled Grit Part 1 and Part 2. So underneath your piece, you might see something in the classwork, Grit Part 1 and Grit Part 2. If you'd be so kind as to only open Grit Part 1 right now, it will make it a little easier to communicate what's going to happen. This assignment is based on listening and also a level of introspection, which means to look inside of you. And you did a little bit of that with the last assignment. And you also wrote a little bit. This time we're going to do a little bit more of an extended response, which is a little bit more difficult than filling in lines, but those are beneficial. So in this file, you're going to see, and I have it pulled up here, you're going to see in bright red bold print. Consider this an exercise in how to follow directions. That is basically a response to individuals who ask me, how many words do I have to write in this box? When the directions clearly stated you were supposed to write 6. And this goes back to reading the directions completely and thoroughly. So we're going to use this file to complete an assignment. If you'll notice in orange, it says step 1, and this is under the box of before the TED Talk. You might say, what the heck's a TED Talk? Well, 5 years ago, I didn't know what a TED Talk was. Maybe even 7 years. But now I know what one is. I know for a couple reasons. Number one, in education, in my pursuit for knowledge, I have come across TED Talks. On the internet, especially YouTube, you can just type in TED Talk and you'll get all kinds of topics. It's basically a condensed version of somebody's work. They might have written a 500-page book, but they've done their best to condense their work into a 7 to 12 minute, maybe even 15-minute video. The one we're watching today is only 6 minutes. I came across it in my thirst for knowledge. That's number one. But I also know a young man who did a TED Talk, and I think it has up to 2 million views. And it was on a scientific experiment that he did. He actually has a few patents. And he's going to Stanford University, and I'm a big fan of his, so he's a good buddy of mine. Anywho, all that to say, before you watch the TED Talk, you're going to do something. Step 1, if you see it on here, you're going to see step 1. Before you watch, tell me what you know about a particular word. In this case, the word is grit. You do not have to type right now. And we're going to go through this entire thing is why we're doing this. Step 1 says, before you even watch, tell me what you know about grit. Step 2 tells you to read all of the following questions before you actually watch the video. So you read through the questions, and as you scroll down, you see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions. Now that you've read those questions, you are free to go on to step 3, which is watch the video and answer the questions as you watch the video. Now that you've done step 3, you've watched the video, you've answered the questions. If you need to go back and watch the video, you're more than welcome to. Then you can go to step 4, which is after the TED Talk, you're free to answer these questions. So that is steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very systematic way of going through something, which is a plus. Now that you have that done, you can go on to part 2, which you're more than welcome to open now. It is entitled LHMS 116, which is my room, Grit Part 2. If you open this file, there's a lot going on here. And it states, after watching the TED Talk, you're going to go through and fill out another pre-writing piece. That pre-writing piece is much like the other pre-writing piece that we did on Monday and Tuesday for the poem. If you'll look, there are boxes that ask you questions, and this time I provided an example for you to look at. Mr. Neiman's example is, what is something you couldn't do before, but now can? And I could have used any number of things in my 42 years of existence, learning to walk, learning to tie my shoes, learning to feed myself, all these things. I chose this right here. 20 years ago, if you would have handed me a guitar, I would have not known how to hold it. I wouldn't have known anything about a guitar. But now, not only, as you notice, but now here I am at age 42. I can not only play as many as 75 songs, I know most, if not all, the chord structures that go with songs that are played. I also sing songs. Can you believe that? Mr. Neiman actually sings. So this is an example of I could not do something before, but through time, effort, energy, a level of focus, I can now do it. I can now do these things sometimes without even thinking about it. And if you think about it, now, granted, lately I've been wearing these shoes. These are my shoes that I've been wearing. You say, Mr. Neiman, why are you showing me these? Because I was about to tell you that when I was a kid, it took every ounce of energy for me to be able to tie shoes. But now, not only can I tie my shoes with my eyes closed, I can tie my shoes with my eyes closed while reciting the alphabet. Not only can I tie my shoes with my eyes closed while reciting the alphabet, I could probably do that on one foot. But I don't have any shoes with laces today, so I can't prove that. All that to say, there are 2 files that are due on Sunday night, and we've just gone through them. We haven't gone through them all yet. This file right here, this pre-writing, is going to help us fill in the second page, which basically took all 6 of those boxes, condensed it down to the 3 that I want to look at, focus on the most. And then I'm actually going to write 7 sentences of what I used to not be able to do, but now I can. There was something in my life that I used to not be able to do, but now I can. And you're just going to talk about, written, typed out in narrative form, in 7 sentences, what you used to not be able to do, but now you can. And that is basically it. Ms. Thompson, I'll turn the floor over to you. If you have anything that you would like to add, you are more than welcome to add it. Go.
The one thing I'm noticing, I'm going through some of your autobiographical pre-writing and things like that.
Yeah.
When you type on this document, guys, if you get the red squiggly line or the blue squiggly line, that means something is spelled wrong, it's not capitalized, or the grammar's off. We expect you to fix those things. The computer is telling you, hey, this is a problem, look at it again. So we expect you to fix those things. If you submit paper with all kinds of red squiggles on it, it's not going to do well. So if you're not sure, you can ask us. You can look things up online, how to spell things. Remember, proper nouns start with a capital letter. We all know that. Your name starts with a capital letter. The other helpful hint is I see many of you are, when you type in on the draft, where it has like line 1, line 2, a little hint is if you kind of go onto that and you highlight the line and then start typing, the line itself will disappear, because some of you, it's kind of looping around.
Yes.
It's not staying on one line. And when you type your poem, the final draft does not have to have the words line 5, line 6. Please make sure. Always go back and read your stuff out loud. I'm seeing a lot of verbs that are not working. Read it out loud, even if you're not sure. It'll hit your ear wrong, it'll sound wrong, and that's your first clue, like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Like somebody previously wrote in the other class, I want to finish a painting, or who dreams of finish a painting. Okay? Just notice how it didn't sound right. Dreams of finish a painting. It should be dreams of finishing a painting. So do yourself that favor, read it out loud, and see what doesn't hit right, because you have a great tool in front of you that will tell you when things are wrong. So we expect you to make those corrections. Otherwise, that's just lazy writing.
That's a great point. I think the red squiggly line and the blue squiggly line might be the biggest, what we in the business call red flag. If you see a red squiggly line or a blue squiggly line, like she mentioned, you got to take notice of that. I appreciate that. Thank you for commenting on that. And reading out loud is something I did. So these are beneficial tools. For the 2 or 3 individuals who just joined, if you would do me a favor and stick around after I release everyone, please stick around. I'm going to give you a minute, maybe 2 minutes worth of quick instruction, and it will all be good. At this time, other than the 2 or 3 people that just entered, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to put them in the chat. At this time, if you think to yourself, I have no questions, I just want to get busy, you're more than welcome to leave this chat room and go get busy. If you were late to the party today, stick around and I'm going to hit stop.